Hello, let's have a daily analysis of gold. Today is January 5th, 2026. It's gotten hard to say 2026. What happened was that the expectation we had for gold was that from this area, which was the 38% Fibonacci level, it would start a bullish move. As I said, we could set up 3 scenarios for it, with the first scenario being more likely. Well, up to 4,400. On Friday, we moved up and then had a drop. One of the friends mentioned in the comments that, yes, this 4,401 was actually a very pivotal point for the market, and we should have expected a decline from there. Look, what happened was that it reversed, but it didn't hit my stop loss. If I had opened my trade here, well, I think I did open it around here. My stop loss was below this 38% area around here, and my take profit was at $4,500. So what happened was that it reversed, but it didn't hit my stop loss. When I open a trade, I use the set and forget method. I set it and leave it alone until I see whether it hits take profit or stop loss. So what happens? Although I closed my trade here, and I'll tell you why. The reason I closed my trade around here was because of the New York market opening, and I'll explain that to you. Look, we had a gap here. A price gap where the market hadn't seen this price at all. We usually call it a CME gap. Why? Because it happened during a market holiday. On January 1st, the market was closed, and here the price couldn't reach this level. See what happened? Exactly what time did our downward movement start? It was at 17:17 Dubai time. I'm telling you, it's in Dubai time. We started our downward move from 17:17 Dubai time and continued down. We filled this gap and even went a bit below that gap. Again, it started to rise from the 38% Fibonacci level. So what happens in the market now? The CME gap gets filled at 17:17, which is when the COMEX or commodity exchange market opens. When the US market opens, traders in the COMEX market, they realize that there's a very heavy volume here, and they come to the conclusion that there's a gap here. We need to come and fill this gap, even if we want to look at it in a very classic way. We had a trend line here, although personally I don't really believe in these trend lines and such, but we had a trend line that should have come down. It should have had a pullback to it. Now, I mostly work with Fibonacci, so there should have been a pullback to the 38% Fibonacci level. What is our expectation for the market today? The expectation we have is that the market at least brings itself down to the area to reach the $4,500 level, which is the broken area, somewhere between $4,470 and $4,500. But if, with the opening of the CME market today, you see another drop that is at 17:17 local time, or if I'm not mistaken, before 5 p.m. Iran time. It's something like 4:52 or 4:53 Iran time, around 52 or 53 minutes past 4. If I'm not mistaken, that's Iran time. If we see another drop with the opening of the CME market, be sure that it's probably going to come back to fill this gap again. It might turn back from right here again, or even drop below this low. So if you've taken a long position, with the market opening, I personally didn't take a position because I was asleep at that time, and I never sacrificed my peace or trading environment. But if your trade is open and you're in profit, definitely with the opening of the CME market, if you see a drop again, close your position. What I expect is that we'll most likely see the 38% Fibonacci level again. If we reach this area and see a drop, we could also see the 50% Fibonacci level around the $4,220 area. These are all analyses. I myself will not enter the market until I see an infringement. I will not enter any other market here now. I made my money here. I made my money here. I won't be coming back from the market. Important prohibitions. This rule is, if I see a failure, I will buy in the direction of the market. If I see a decline, I will buy in the direction of the market. If we have a pullback to the 4,310 area, I will go long on the market again. If my stop gets hit, I will wait and go long on the market at 4,220. Wishing you happiness and success.